Anthony Grassi here for College.town at the 2025 NACDA Convention. Happy to sit down with Central Atlantic Collegiate Conference Commissioner Dan Mara. Dan, thank you for joining me today.
Anthony, thank you for having me. Great to be here.
So as we sit here right now, you are entering year 20 as the commissioner of the league.
Yes.
What does it feel like to be in year 20?
With the retirement of Commissioner Brunk, I'll become the oldest commissioner in Division II right now. So I think it's great. I've really enjoyed my time as commissioner. I think that the association has evolved incredibly, particularly our division. Very pleased with where we are and where we're going. But it's been a great journey. It's nothing that I aspired to when I was a kid. To be a commissioner, but I think it's something that's worked out well for me.
When you started as a professional, I'm always curious when people are in these leadership chairs, what they initially aspired to achieve in their professional careers.
Well, this will be my 50th year coming up in intercollegiate athletics. I started at Mitchell College in 1976 as a sports information director, recruiting coordinator, equipment room assistant. My first day on the job, they had me paint red stripes on towels, and I said that I can only go up from here, and that was not what I had aspired to when I was in school. But I really enjoyed intercollegiate athletics, and I knew I wanted to be part of that. I wasn't sure what path I would take. I did have some journalism experience, so I was able to get in on the SID world. But then I realized that I was really more interested in the actual games themselves and writing about what people were doing. I wanted to be the person doing it. So that's when I started to get more into coaching. And I did do that for about 20 years with administrative duties on the side. And then I was there for 19 years and then went to post-university as athletic director and coached a little bit. And once I got into the administrative end, I realized that was something I was really interested in, more so than the coaching, although I loved the coaching, but just having the impact on the entire program, I thought was something I really thought was a little more beneficial.
So as you transitioned from AD to commissioner, how did you know that was the right career move for you at the time?
Well, I thought I had a good skill set for it. First of all, I was AD in the league that I'm commissioner in.
Correct.
So I knew all the players. I knew what people were thinking. I knew our strengths. I knew our weaknesses, and I thought that could be a guy that could come in and keep the group unified, because there was some disruptions in our group that perhaps we may not stay together. And I really thought that the CACC was a unique concept in terms of its particularly small schools competing at a higher level, and that there's a subset of student athletes that really require that personalized attention that they get in our classrooms, but have the ability to play at a higher level. So it's a rare combination where you can be one of 10 people in a classroom, but yet compete for national championships at the Division II level. So I really liked that model, and I thought it was important that we sustain that. And I thought I was the guy to do it. And I think my first couple of years, I spent a lot of time just keeping the 12 schools that we had at that time together, and trying to show them how much we had in common, as opposed to what their differences were, that their differences were really philosophical, but not major philosophical differences, and that they were basically, they wanted the same things, they just had different ways of articulating it. And after a couple of years, we were on solid ground, and we've grown. Now we've shrunk a little with the tumultuous state of higher ed, but I think that was kind of what brought me to it, was that it was I thought I had the skill sets to do something good for the schools in the conference, and particularly for the student athletes who benefit from the existence of the CACC.
Has the skill set to be the best commissioner evolved over your time, and how have you kind of adapted through that?
Well, yes, it's definitely evolved, because I think when you're an AD or a coach, you're very used to making your decisions. When you're a commissioner, you don't really make a lot of decisions. Your job is to direct your athletic directors or your presidents to make the best possible decisions. Maybe I have an idea, but maybe it's better if the athletic directors think it's their idea. And how do I best work that so that we can accomplish what I think is best for the conference, with them being satisfied that they had the input and that they had the final decision on it. So I think that's an important part of being a good commissioner. You have to know how to negotiate. You have to know how to empower people, and you also have to know when to step in and say, "Whoa, we might need to rethink this," because sometimes you get that mob mentality, and maybe that's not the best decision. Doesn't come from that.
How have you managed through some of those situations? I'm curious from thinking through maybe the lens of somebody that is in year 2 of being a commissioner. What advice would you give to them to manage through some of those chaotic situations that you've encountered?
Well, the first thing is don't be afraid of anybody. You're always going to have athletic directors who are powerful personalities. You're going to have presidents who are powerful personalities. Presidents who may feel they have a bully pulpit on their campus and maybe in the conference. And maybe you have to be the one to stand up and not necessarily oppose them, but have a discussion with them about why are we doing this? If we're a 14-school conference and you're saying this because it's best for your school, but not for the other 13, that's not what being part of a group is all about. So you have to speak on behalf of the masses as opposed to kowtowing to one or two particularly strong individuals. And I think that can be hard, particularly if you're young. I'm fortunate. I mean, I was 50 when I became a commissioner, so you got a little more experience and you're a little more veritas with the people. But I think that's really a key thing, is just believe in yourself, don't be afraid, and always, above all, be honest. Never ever put yourself in a situation where you say something that is easy to get you out of a situation or get you where you want to be, but it's not necessarily the truth. Because I don't have a good enough memory to remember if I had lied, so it needs to have really happened for me to say it. And I think confidence and honesty go a long way, And final thing, everybody's your friend, whether they know they are or not. Everybody's your friend, and you treat them that way, because at the end of the day, you're all in intercollegiate athletics. You all really want what's best for the student athletes. Sometimes maybe you need to nudge people one way or the other, so they look at the greater good as opposed to their singular focus. But at the end of the day, I think everybody in intercollegiate athletics wants what's best for the student athletes.
How have you maybe evolved your core values as you developed into a leader, from starting in athletics to being the AD, now as the commissioner? Has that changed at all?
I was going to say, I don't know that your core values really change.
As how to maybe refining them is the better term, where over time they become clear as you encounter more situations, you start to define them.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe you have a better idea what your core values are.
Right.
But hopefully, if they were your core values, if they were your core values in 1995, they should be your core values in 2025. Well, I've always, as a coach, I've always focused on the student athlete. So really, that's been my primary focus, no matter what my role was. That we provide a quality student athlete experience. That we focus on the educational aspect of what we're doing. That we treat them as not a number, not your second baseman, but as a student athlete. And that's always been the core of what I do. Again, I said before, honesty, confidence. And you need to be willing to listen to other people's views and always take them into consideration. I mean, a lot of people listen, but then, thank you for speaking, but I'm not changing anything. You have to consider it. And I think that's an important part, is being able to listen.
As you enter year 20, what would you say is this? How would you define the state of the conference right now?
We're united. We're strong together. We have a lot of young ADs who have a lot of energy, a lot of great ideas. I think we're performing as well or better than we ever have on the regional and/or national level. Clearly, the impact of the enrollment cliff and the changes in higher education have had an impact on our conference. We've had mergers, we've had closings, we've had schools come to us. We haven't had anybody leave us. We haven't had a school leave our conference as long as I've been commissioner. Not saying, we had schools closed, but we never had anybody purposefully go to another conference. So that, to me, that says we're doing the right things. We've had Concordia University and Alliance University close. We had U Sciences merged with St. Joe's, and their athletic program went away because of the Division I program. We had Bloomfield College merged with Montclair State, and they're in the process of transitioning to the USCAA because Montclair's only sponsoring 4 sports on the Bloomfield campus. And then we also had Thomas Jefferson, which is a merger of Philadelphia University and Thomas Jefferson. They were able to stay in our conference because Thomas Jefferson didn't have intercollegiate athletics. So, like I said, we're strong, we're united, and we're impacted by what goes on in the outside world.
Yeah, especially given the landscape of higher education right now.
Right.
From the commissioner's chair, what do you see as what are the challenges that you see through the merger process? Because we've seen so many more mergers or formal partnerships or whatever stage, whatever they may term it, with institutions that are close to each other, that have similar missions, or maybe some of those that are, from proximity standpoint, very far away but have a mission alignment. Right. What do you think the longer-term ramifications of that are for within the Division II?
Well, I think mergers are great if it keeps the school going. I think that if the merger is a merger in name only, but it's really a takeover, that's unfortunate, because I think all these schools have unique missions. And if the mission goes away because a more powerful entity comes in and sort of takes that out, I find that to be unfortunate, because I think all these schools have been around for a long time because they've served a role for a niche population. And unfortunately, as the enrollment cliff nears and finances become what they are, some of those schools are going away, and I feel badly for student athletes coming up in the future who could really benefit from a school that has a different atmosphere than perhaps what we're going to see in 10 years, when there may be very few small schools remaining.
What does success look like in the CACC? For the CACC, maybe is the right way to ask that.
Graduation rate. Graduating our student athletes, providing the quality experience. That's, at the end of the day, that's what we're about. We're not about winning national championships, so that would be great. Regional championships, although when we do that, that's outstanding. But really, it's about what we provide to our student athletes. And I think if you look at the grad rates nationally, in Division II, we're very strong. Our academic success rate, very strong, because our athletic programs focus on the total person concept, not just on, how can I make him a better hitter or her a faster runner? What do they really need to make their lives better 10 years down the road? Because then they won't remember what their batting average was, but they'll remember the experiences that they had, and they'll have gained skills, they'll have gained knowledge that will help them become better people, and that's what the college is about.
You serve in a dual role in addition to being the commissioner of the CACC, as the commissioner of the Collegiate Sprint Football League.
Yeah.
How do those two different roles, although they are the same in name, what benefit does it have being the commissioner of both those leagues? Maybe some things you learn from one that apply to the other, and vice versa.
Well, we started doing it because we had, at the time, at one point we had 3 schools in that conference, and they were kind of thirsty for leadership. They were doing it in-house. They would appoint somebody from one of the schools as a commissioner, and they would do it for a couple of years, and then there'd be transition. So they weren't really getting anywhere as a conference. They didn't have set concepts, set bylaws. It's totally different in terms of the makeup of the conference. The CACC is obviously all Division II, all private, all similar sizes, very similar sport offerings, very similar concepts of education. The Collegiate Sprint Football League is 2 service academies, Army and Navy, 2 Ivy League schools, Penn and Cornell, and 5 Division IIs. So you've got people who have their programs for different reasons. So you don't really provide as much in terms of student-athlete leadership programming, coaches' educational programming, because they're all coming at it from different points of view. But again, that's the one thing that's a constant is that provides a unique opportunity for student athletes who are 178.5 pounds or less to play collegiate football, and to play in some beautiful venues. You play at Navy Marine Corps Stadium, you play at Franklin Field at University of Pennsylvania, you play in the stadiums at Cornell and at Army. It's a unique experience, but it's different, and it's just the one sport. We have 17 sports in the CACC. CSFL is a single sport conference, so it's different, but it's a great experience, and I've really loved it.
You may be biased, so I'll keep that in mind. But what do you think is the future for sprint football within Division II, within college athletics?
I think it's doing well. I think there's a strong future. I don't think it'll ever be an NCAA sport.
Okay.
There's Title IX implications with it and some things like that. But for the schools that have it, although they have it for different purposes, I think it's of real value. And we see it in that we have applications for new schools to come in. And we had the Midwest League form 3 years ago, which is not associated with us at all, but is a derivative of one of our presidents moving to a college in the Midwest. But yeah, I think there's a real future for that sport. It's fun, and just to be clear, it's legitimate football. It's 11 versus 11. It's full pads. I hear people say, well, do they wear shoulder pads? Do they wear helmets? Is it 7 versus 7? No, it's the only difference between, and it's played by NCAA rules. The only difference between what you would see in the Big Ten and the CSFL is the weight. They're a different size, but it's the same sport.
So do you think maybe broader Division II, what are some of the key national discussions that are of most interest to you as you think about what's in the best interest of the CACC?
Yeah, well, we are big believers in the regional concept of Division II. We think that serves us best. We really enjoy competing against the 30 schools in the East region, and we find it to be beneficial that the postseason we're competing against those same teams that we played against during the regular season. Because of our geographic proximity, there's a lot of interplay between our 3 conferences, which you may not see in other areas of the country. So I think that's a big thing for us, and I think telling the D2 story to schools that may not be current Division II members. How can we grow our membership? Because it's a great division. It offers, it's the best of both worlds. It's life in the balance, right? You get highly competitive athletics with partial scholarships, while also having a strong focus on education, where you're not missing a lot of class time. I think that's an important thing for us. And we've got a strong leadership team in Division II. Terry Gronow and Maritza Jones, and everyone in the national office. I think they've got their ear to the ground. They know what's going on in all the regions of the country, and I think that's important.
Do you think there are changes that can or should be made to the regionalization model as it exists right now within Division II?
There are certainly many changes that can be made.
Of course.
Do I think they should be made? I would say no. We're very pleased with where we are, and I think if you were to talk to the other commissioners in the East, we would probably be pretty solid on that. I know other parts of the country where they're looking for more of a national championship format. That I'm sure they are interested in that. But we enjoy our regional competition. We're focused on being the best in that 30-team grouping. And then once we get out of that, that's when we would focus on a national championship. A regional championship is very important to our schools.
Within your region, What is the collaboration like amongst your schools, given you are fairly similar?
Yeah, it's very strong. There's only one state school in the region, Southern Connecticut, and there are two CUNYs, Queens and Staten Island. The other 27 are private schools. So there's a very strong communication between those. There's a shared mission, I think, a lot of shared values. And I think, I'm guessing on this, but my guess would be that there's more interconference play in our region than there is in most other regions in the country, because of geography, and because they feel that they communicate well with those schools. They feel comfortable playing them. So private schools like to play private schools, just like state schools like to play state schools. They feel they're on a level playing field. So I think that's true.
When you think through, one of the big topics within Division II is the discussion around a selection metric for the postseason,
Yes, it
which
is.
I know is a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, your peers in Division III have enacted that as the MPI. I'm curious, given the tight region you guys have, what do you think is the appetite for that within Division II, and where do you kind of stand on that? Not to put your feet to the fire.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm the national lacrosse chair for Division II, and we've had discussions about it as a committee. We had discussions with the Division III lacrosse committee because of our joint championships at Gillette Stadium a couple weeks ago, and that seems to be a great metric to determine a national tournament. But I don't know if it's the ideal metric for a regional tournament. It may be that maybe you can tweak it possibly to do that, but it's national in focus, and the D3 lacrosse championship is national, with only 13 at-large bids. So it's a little different concept than what we have. But I would think that I would need to see, I'm speaking for myself only, I would need to see how that works for a regional tournament before I could really say one way or the other. I think it's taking the regional advisory committees out of the selection process a little bit. I think it's great for those committees because you're not dealing with a lot of the pushback that you get if a team is not selected. But at the end of the day, we all want to have the best teams in there. And if that's the best way to do it, that's great. But I just want to be certain that it works for us as a regional championship division.
Excellent insight. Dan, thank you so much for joining me here at NACDA today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.